So, Nicci, the first chapters of your faith story are pretty impressive. In your words, you grew up with all the tools, but you felt something was missing, and your next chapters became different. You want to talk a little bit about those first chapters and then what happened?
Sure. I grew up in the Missouri Synod Lutheran Church, which is a really strict version of Lutheran. And I had religion class every day. I memorized the catechism and a lot of verses. I knew all the Bible stories, but I never really knew Jesus. I did go to a Lutheran high school. So after I graduated from high school, I kind of flailed around because I didn't have that deep personal relationship with Jesus. I knew all the things.
Right.
I knew all about Jesus, but I didn't really know him. Really, I started going off the rails after high school, went into college, and I was derailed by my friend committing suicide. And that was really hard for me. Looking back, I have a big regret because I didn't go to the funeral. I was so mad at God and just couldn't bring myself to do it. And I still do regret that today. Of course, Jesus helps me with that. But that threw me into kind of a downward spiral. I was left to my own devices. I stopped going to church. I forgot all about the fact that Jesus is there for me, and I made my own decisions. I chose horrible friends, boyfriends, choices of anything was all bad, and it just kept getting worse and worse. I relied on myself instead of relying on God. It all begins too with the fact that I'm a people pleaser, and I always try to do too much for people. I try to be the funny person, which I am funny, but I mean, no, seriously though, I am a people pleaser. I know that. My mother always told me I have the disease to please. So it was to my own detriment though. I would people please and do whatever they wanted to do just so that I could be their friend. After I graduated college, something happened. I won't get into the gory details, but I left quickly. I had a moment where I was like, this is not where I want my life to go, and I need to do something about this. And so I went back to what I knew. I went back to God. I went back to my family, and consequently, my parents were here in Dubuque. So that's how I ended up here from St. Louis. But then I don't know if it was more maturity or if God was finally pulling me back in and I was letting him back in. The seeds that were sown in that mile-wide path, they started to grow. So the seeds were planted, and I came back to that familiarity, and I went back to the Missouri Synod Lutheran Church, and I taught Sunday school, and I went to church, but I still didn't have that deep desire to be in the Word and to know Jesus and to go to church, because I couldn't imagine not going to church on Sunday. So those are the things. I just went through the motions again. Robotic. It was very robotic. I didn't go to a Bible study regularly. I didn't open my Bible regularly. Yeah, okay, I went to church every Sunday, but that wasn't enough. I know now that that's not enough. So yeah, I was going through the motions, checking off the boxes, but I needed more. I needed more connection with Jesus, but also connection with others. I needed that community connection, and that church was not fulfilling that for me.
And so then you did what?
Well, we searched for churches. We went to a church here in Dubuque for a few years, and it was okay, but it wasn't the right fit for us. I did end up going to that Christian education weekend, and that was one of the more pivotal moments for me, where we took the piece of paper, wrote a couple of our sins down, and nailed it to the cross. And I think we've done that here. And it was powerful, both times, incredibly powerful. And that almost was like the catalyst for me to say, okay, I need more. And I tried to get it at that church that I was at, but I couldn't, I didn't feel it. There were some other things that I won't get into, but I also really felt pulled here. You know, I can't even describe it. It's a Jesus thing. I made the decision, I said, we're going to Grandview. So we came to Grandview and the rest is history. My faith has grown just leaps and bounds since I came here. And I came here in 2011, and from 2011 until today, my faith has just grown 3/4 of what it is now. You know, all that knowledge that I had way back then was only about 1/4. It only grew my relationship with Jesus only grew to about 1/4. And now here we are, and I'm not stopping. My faith continues to get better, stronger, and my relationship is stronger with Jesus. When I came to Grandview, I found cell groups, and that was a huge part of my faith. My faith just exploded with cell group because I was in the Word every single day. And especially when you introduced Grandview Reads. So that was another thing that I felt connected to the whole church, not just my cell group. So those were the things that I'm talking about. I'm not going through the motions on that. That's me wanting to get deeper into the Word, and I'm cultivating that. I remember at one point I said, okay, God, I am ready to serve you for what you did for me. So you saved me, you brought me out of the depths of whatever I was going through, brought me out of the other side of it, and I'm willing to serve in whatever capacity you see fit. I'm yours, just use me. And I was basically doing it because of what he had done for me. I absolutely love working with the youth. I have found really, I think, what Jesus wants me to do. Of course, I'm always willing to do whatever he wants, but I really feel called to work with the youth and to help them to be strong in their faith and to know Jesus at a young age, which isn't what I did at all.
So what about the next chapters?
Well, I hope that God continues to use me to help the youth to basically take all the ignorant things I did and all the things that did not honor God and use that to help them realize that get it now. You know, get that relationship with Jesus now. Know him. Don't just know about him. Know him. Know who he is, and cultivate that relationship. So I like to talk to them a lot about, okay, well, how can I cultivate that relationship? So we talk a lot about praying and being in the Word and worshiping. You know, just talk to God. I no longer say that I have religion, I have a relationship with Jesus. That to me is what I want to tell everyone. I want to tell my youth, I want to tell my family, my friends, all of you, that it's all about the relationship with Jesus. That's what I didn't have before, and that's why I spiraled downward into the depths and I lost my way. But Jesus is always there to take us back. Always there. And that's just another thing that I want to let everyone know is that no matter what you do, you know, you are forgiven. If you ask for forgiveness, you are forgiven, and that's a relief. Don't take too long. Do it now. Don't wait like I did. Know Jesus. Know who he is now. Don't wait. Life can be so much more fulfilling with Jesus. And I'm not talking about things. I'm talking about the fruits of the Spirit, like joy and peace and love, faithfulness, kindness. All of that is something that you can tangibly have because of your relationship with Jesus. I no longer find myself being a people pleaser because I'm a Jesus pleaser. And when it all starts with Jesus, it can't be wrong.